Buenas, hello. Wow, very long time. Well, I think there have been bigger gaps, right? It is a long time though. I think it's a month since I closed off my last review with lots of positivity about the two books I was about to start, and how quickly I thought I was going to kind of get there. I have no particular excuse for the gap. I think I've got some reasons. I remember a particularly fierce nun headmistress of primary school who demanded that when we were late, she said, "I want a reason, not an excuse," which I think is a nice fluidity which appeals to me. I need to apologise for the ambient sounds yet again. Very windy today, has been for the last couple of days. Wind up here I've not really seen before. Been quite windy at night, but in the day this is a bit new. It's still quite bright. I think it's quite sunny, hot in the actual sun itself, but yeah, so sorry about that. I still have not replaced my nice Bluetooth microphone. Again, I need to thank Mark for suggesting the particular model I had. I broke that on my last trip back to the UK, but on my next trip to the UK, which is an eye-related thing, which I'll talk about after I've done it, then I hope to have that back. Well, I'm going to buy a new one, and then I should be good on sound. So hopefully this works. So I have just finished the Bradbury novel, Something Wicked This Way Comes, 1962 I think, and I've almost finished the other book I was trying to read in parallel, which is Philip Kerr, Bernard Gunter, Nazi era detective story type thing. I won't talk about that on this video because it's not appropriate. I want to talk about this book. I don't have an excuse, like I was saying about, I didn't have a UK trip. I'm as busy as I kind of normally am. I wasn't sick or anything, but I really struggled with these two books, and do I know why? I think it's very common on BookTube to talk about. I've seen some great videos actually. I might include links to them about the kind of reading problem, and just how much kind of, we have to work at reading now, don't we? We do. We have to work at reading, and work is work, and you'd rather not work, but I think we do have to make the effort. It's my Fanta Lim on default drinking spot. And again, as a lot of people say, that we never really, reading used to be a joy. You never really noticed it. Maybe we didn't notice it was work compared to other things because we didn't know about the other things, did we? Right. First thing I need to say about this is I have read, obviously, and did enjoy, of course, not of course, but I did, Fahrenheit 451, and I think that's the only other novel-length Bradbury I've ever read. I think that is a factor in why I struggled to finish this, because I don't know whether it's an age thing. I think when you're young, I think Bradbury is just kind of magical and golden, and you absolutely I did get swept up in the kind of beauty of the prose and the imagination and the lyricism, I suppose, and that he didn't particularly care about the story or the plot or the what have you. It's more kind of the atmosphere. I think that's harder to do over a novel, and I did find I still think he's a great writer, but I think a lot of it was quite long chunks of, I'm not saying purple prose because I'm not totally sure I know it's a disparaging remark, comparison, but I don't quite know what it might mean. I mean, there's it's the poetic language and the poetic cadences, and yes, And you know, yes, great, yes, but it can be quite treacly, and it can be quite hard to get through. I don't know. I think some of it was the kind of was it scary? Not particularly. Was it poetic? Yes. Was it evocative? Yes. Was it giving me things that I didn't know? Sure. Yeah. But it was sometimes I did have to force myself to kind of get into the world, really. What's very noticeable about reading this book, which from his afterword I think is kind of harking back to his own boyhood in the 30s. There may be other elements that mean certainly not long after the Second World War. I don't think rural America again, right? His heartland place. I think that it depicts a completely vanished world in terms of young boys, and a world where everything is adventure, outside, frolicking, physicality, the physical world, adventure, running, hiding, playing, amazing nature. How many children still have that? How many children that you know still have that? How many children in the West still have that? How many children in the global South still have that? I hope so. And also a world, and it's again, it's keyed in the afterword. There was a particular his hometown library. Library is very, very important. There's very keen scenes in it, but also a kind of depiction of what libraries were. Maybe not anymore. This is a description of the library from very early on. Listen, and you heard 10,000 people screaming, so high only dogs feathered their ears. 1 million folk ran toting cannons, sharpening guillotines. Chinese four abreast marched on forever, invisible, silent, yes. But Jim and Will had the gift of ears and noses as well as the gift of tongues. Here, this was a factory of spices from far countries, etc., etc. Up front was the desk where the nice old lady, Miss Watrice, purple stamped your books, but went off away, were Tibet and Antarctica, the Congo. There went Miss Wills, the other librarian, through outer Mongolia, calmly toting fragments of Peiping and Yokohama and the celebs, etc. So, a magical, beautiful, lyrical description of what books and libraries and adventure and imagination and all of those things meant. And one has a pang for that, because yes, that's how, you know, you remember what books were and should be and could be, and wow, God, I hope children still see something like that. God, you know, beyond the screen, right? Other things to comment about the book. I suppose this is where I always give my delayed 5-star rating. I mean, as an achievement, I think it's a 4 out of 5. I would not read this book again, because I did struggle with it. I didn't lose the will to live, but I lost the thread a little bit. I can't really remember who Mr. Cougar is and why he was on the electric chair. That was obviously a key plot thing, or a key plot image. We have the illustrated man at the centre of the story, though he's not called that. He's called Mr. Dark, and he was, a very powerful figure image in in Bradbury's early fiction, and as a kind of connecting device between stories. It's a book about magic. It's a book about boyhood. It's a book about fatherhood. It's a book about love. It's a book about resisting evil. Those are all wonderful, amazing themes and very important themes and great. It's a book about a particular sense of, do people still care about circuses, about travelling carnivals? It's a book where you still have, and he uses the word, right, freaks. do we still have that? I doubt it. We seem a long way away, don't we, really, from... there's Geek Love, of course, a wonderful book. There's also, you know, Todd Browning in there as well, right? But it's a long time ago, and a very particular place and time. It wasn't just an American thing. It was a European thing as well, I think. I don't know if it was an Asian thing. Don't know if it was an Australian thing at all. But again, a sort of vanished world. So, would I recommend this book? I think if to a younger person, I think, or somebody who used to love Bradbury in their youth, I think I would say be prepared to work, because it's maybe Bradbury stretched a novel doesn't work as well as Bradbury in a short story. I feel a bit mean saying that, but that's the reading experience I had getting super with you again. And all in all, there were some wonderful bits and there's some wonderful prose. Some of it was a little bit, Ray, you know, calm down a bit, you're sort of showing off a little bit here, or you're trying too hard and you're losing me a little bit. And I understand it's a fantasy, but I think you've gone a little bit over the edge here, a kind of bit, stretching my credulity a tiny bit. I think the horror and the fear maybe would have worked a bit better if it was a tiny bit more. See, Stephen King is very good, isn't he? Because it's so obviously rooted in the world you know, and then when the eerie and the weird and the terrifying happen, they kind of we look into that world, but we come back out of that world, I think, unless we end up completely in the world, don't we, like in The Shining. Maybe it's not fair to compare the two writers. We are dealing here with kind of similar ground, I think, really. Yeah, I feel a tiny bit mean with this review, because I think I do love Bradbury. I do remember reading some of the Bradbury short stories in that great the greater collected work, to the Kid as a girl, as a very young girl, and she absolutely loved it. I don't think she ever read the stories herself, and don't think she'd ever want to go back to them, which is interesting. So Bradbury, potent stuff, potent wine. If you're prepared to work at it, I think you'll get something out of it. I think it is a beautiful book, but I'm happy to pass it on. Believe there is a movie version with, I'm going to say Jonathan Pryce. I might be wrong. I've never seen it. I would be interested to see if gets put up on Disney Plus for Halloween. I'd watch it. I'm sure it's different from what Bradbury was trying to do. And he says actually in the afterword that this actually was supposed to be a production for Gene Kelly, and he wrote it as a film's treatment. That didn't come through. Then he rewrote it as a novel. Then it got turned into a movie much later on. Okay, I'm sure Jonathan Pryce gave it as good as he got, right? So, okay, now I'm going to go. I've got to do some work. I've got stuff to do. Sorry for my shabby appearance today. I felt I really had to kind of get this review bolted out and kind of out in the world and sort of move on. I'm going to finish the Philip Kerr, and I'm going to have really hope for a review tomorrow. Okay, I mean, I've got to do that, and then I really want to kind of get out this reading slump and get some more traction. Open the box, see what comes out. Maybe get two out and try and work between them. Did find that kind of worked. I was trying to also. I'd read it might have been a Twitter thing, that if you are going to read, you really shouldn't try. You should really push to kind of do 50 pages at a time, and I do think that's true, because it's easy to lose yourself, lose the thread a little bit. Like I said, why was Mr. Cougar, Mr. Electrico? Why was he in an electric chair? What happened to him? I just can't remember. Something. All right, okay, guys. I think that's me for now. Wind's died down a bit. The sky's beautifully blue.